All right, my friends, as promised, finally some math. You ready? First, we'll review what we did in level 1. I will presume you celebrated so long, so hard after you passed level 1 that you blacked out and forgot everything you learned, so no worries. Basic dividend discount model is where we'll start. We'll first start with a single holding period and then move on to multiple holding periods. Okay, so with a single holding period, we're trying to find our intrinsic value today. So intrinsic value subscript 0, that is our value today. That is going to be based on cash flow subscript 1, your dividend at the end of the first period, the terminal value at the end of the first period. So we have 2 cash flows in a single holding period. Our terminal year is the end of year 1. So our value at any particular point in time is based upon whatever we think the dividend is going to be in the next period, right? So we know that. So let's find that intrinsic value today. We need a couple of inputs here. We talked about the expected. Now be careful. Sometimes they've already given you the expected dividend. You don't need to extrapolate. Did they give you the last dividend or the expected dividend, right? So read carefully. What is going to be our forecasted selling price at the end of year 1? So those are our 2 future cash flows, both coming at the end of year 1, both at the end of that 1-year holding period. And then we need our required rate of return. We know that could be CAPM, a multi-factor model, build-up approach, whatever they say. All right, so here's our example. They're telling us Hobart's stock is expected to sell. So there's our forecast selling price, end of year 1. And we're expecting them that they will pay. So this is our forecasted dividend, 5. So we have the 125, we have the 5, our future cash flows. They tell us the required rate of return is 8.25%. So 1.0825. So what's our intrinsic value today? 120.09. So 120.09. All right, so no big deal there. So that's the price we would be willing to pay today. And then obviously we would want to compare that to the price in the market. All right, we would want to compare that to the price in the market. Now, what is the market price? Well, they tell us everything but today's selling price. So I'm going to make it up. So what if I'm going to pretend, sorry about that. So what if the price in the market were 110? Then we would think that's undervalued. What would we want to do? We'd label it a buy. Now, we know we're going to buy it because it's undervalued. The question becomes, what's our expected holding period return? Well, our expected holding period return, since we think we're going to buy an undervalued asset and generate a positive NPV, so that 120.09 minus today's cost, 110, what is the positive NPV? 10.09. So what would our expected holding period return be? Well, if you take the 5 and the 125, your future value divided by your present value, today's cost, and again, I'm making up the cost. They gave us everything but today's cost. But if we take that future value divided by that present value, what do we get? Our cumulative holding period return, I got 1.1818. The 1 represents what? The principal, and then our return. So 18.18, that's our cumulative return. Now, since we have a 1-year holding period, you raise that to 1/1, 1 being the number of periods. Here it's just 1, and then subtract your principal. What's our return? 18.18%, as predicted, greater than our required rate of return of 8.25%. All righty. Not so bad.